So it got stood up the week before the first lockdown. And I think that came about, a number of us had started working together in something called the Health and Wellbeing Voluntary Sector Network. We set up like a little network, of which I'll show you a slide about in a minute. And we were meeting regularly and talking about how we could come together as voluntary sector groups focusing on health and wellbeing, what we could do to support each other, what we need to do in partnership. And it, when the pandemic hit, we gathered and we were like, okay, so what are we going to do? We knew from the work that we'd done in the community, there would be a lot of people that were going to be absolutely petrified, obviously, and really scared. We also knew there'd be a lot of people that really wanted to help out, because we'd unleashed that through our community builders in the previous 5-6 years. So we came up with this idea. It's a matching service, basically. So it was people could ring in and say if they could offer some time, and then others would ring in saying what their needs were. But right from the outset, even the people that were ringing up asking for that they needed something, we also had a strength-based conversation with them if it was appropriate. So if somebody was in crisis, then we didn't, but we'd delay that until a conversation, a few weeks later or something. But mostly we asked people if they were asking for something, what they could also, how they could help others. So we had, for example, lots of people who were shielding, who became telephone befrienders for other people. So they were contributing as well as getting something, they might have somebody doing their shopping, but then they were telephone befriending others. So that obviously when we set it up, we thought it would be there for 6 weeks and then everything would go back to normal. It clearly didn't happen. When we stood it up initially, it was staff from 5 voluntary sector organisations that were answering the calls. But as time went on, we gradually handed that over to volunteers as well, so that we could maximise the kind of capacity that we had on the line, really. So we kind of went along, probably, I'd say we got to almost the end of the first lockdown, where we realised that actually the whole thing was going to go on a bit longer. And then we found that people started ringing us up, not just for the practical things, for the shopping and the prescriptions, but they started ringing us up because they were anxious, so their mental health had been impacted, or they're now in debt because their business isn't making money, or they've lost their job, or they've been furloughed or something. And I suppose what we decided to do is just never say no. And so in a sense, what's happened is the actual line has been co-designed by the community, by whatever they've asked us. So we gradually, if we didn't know the answer, or we couldn't work out what to say to somebody, then we just reach out into our voluntary sector, and 9.99999 times out of 10 we could find somebody, an organisation or a person who could provide the support or what that individual needed. I think the only time we weren't able to sort something out is when somebody rang up and asked us if we could help catch their parrot which had escaped. And I think that's the one time when we kind of said we can't really do that. Anyway, but it kind of just shows you, it got to a point where I think people had a really good service when they called up for shopping. And so then as things were popping up in their lives, they were going, oh, I'm going to call that helpline and see if they can help with this as well. And then it sort of gradually expanded. So I think by the time we got to, I would say the second or third lockdown, we realised that we designed something now that was probably going to outlive the pandemic, because it felt like a front door to the voluntary sector for people who didn't know how to access the voluntary sector. And we were thrilled with that, because what we were finding was people that were going to adult social care that didn't meet a threshold were often getting assessments and then told, well, I'm sorry, you can't, we can't offer you anything. And then they were lost. Yeah, they might sometimes find us, they might not, and so this kind of made us feel, oh, actually, for those people that are out there not quite sure what's going on, this is going to really help. So we pretty much at that point decided that this was going to stay for the future. Then our colleagues at Adult Social Care had a light bulb moment and went, okay, so if this thing's going to stay, is it not better for the people that have a new social care need to call this number first, and you see what's out there in the voluntary sector to support them, and then you decide whether they need a referral into adult social care? So now we've been doing that for 18 months, and we've now taken from adult social care 1,439 referrals off of them. And 83% of those referrals, we've been able to meet all of the needs of those individuals. They didn't actually need to talk to adult social care at all.